welcome to the channel. Now I've just come back from a trip to Austria where I drove the Grossglockner High Alpine Pass, and what I thought I'd do is just give you a quick briefing on it, if you like, just a few things that will be useful to know before you go. I found the website was fairly useful, but there were certain things that it didn't tell me. So this is what that is. This is not a spoiler, if you like. This is not going to show you all the views and everything from the Grossglockner. There are already videos out there on YouTube of people, like their dash cam videos of the entire route. I'm not spoiling it for you. This is not that. It's a few highlights that I'm picking out and a bit of information. There's a few tips on how you can get the best out of your trip to the Grossglockner High Alpine Road. Meanwhile, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and enjoy watching. The Grossglockner High Alpine Road, or Grossglockner Hochalpenstrasse in German, is the highest surface mountain road in Austria. The road is named after the Grossglockner, which at 3,798 metres is Austria's highest mountain. Over the Grossglockner High Alpine Road's 48 km length, there are 36 hairpin bends, both uphill and downhill, and it's incredible driving, really good fun. It was built as a scenic tourist route, and a toll is charged to help maintain the upkeep of the road. So where to find the Grossglockner Pass? So we've got a map of Austria, we've got Salzburg over here, Innsbruck down here, there's Munich up there in Germany, and the Grossglockner is south of Salzburg, and you come down to Zell am See, and then you've got Lienz, and it's kind of in between the two. So you've got the town of Fusch and the town of Heiligenblut, and it's kind of the active part of it, if you like, is between the two. There's also a side chute that goes off to the Franz Josefshöhe glacier. So that's the area that we're really looking at. So on this map it's only a small area, but it's a really interesting drive. Now when you go through the toll gates at either end, either at Heiligenblut in the south or Fusch in the north, you get given one of these. It's not really a map, it's kind of a pictorial illustration of the route, and on it are marked 1 to 12 different areas of interest. They call them Erlebniswelten, worlds of adventure. So just little sort of, I guess, animation areas along the way. Some of them more interesting than others, and I'll go through which ones are more interesting. Anyway, that gives you this, gives you the map of them, and then in different languages what they actually are, what's there, what facilities are there by way of toilets, cafes, etc. So as well as that, you'll get given, depending on what you've paid for, you get given your Tageskarte, your day pass. The other thing you get given is a sticker. I thought initially it might be like a windscreen sticker, but it's not. It's actually sort of sticky on the back. So obviously it's for sticking on a folder or scrapbook or something like that. You don't have to pre-book. If you do pre-book, I think there's a sort of possible slight discount you can get. Well, there's a discount in the shops and gift shops along the way. We didn't bother with that. We just rocked up to the tolls and paid our money as we went in. There's also different sorts of cards and passes depending on how long before you come back through, how many times you're going in and out over a given period of time. So worth looking at the website of all the different options. But for the car that we were in, which is just a standard petrol car, it was 43 euros for as many ups and downs of the route as we wanted to do in a single day on the, in this case, the 15th of August. So if you're worried about the driving being difficult or challenging, don't be. Although there are 36 hairpin bends and there's varied gradients up and down, there's nothing that would be a challenge to any driver. There's probably only 3 things that you need to watch out for. The first one is cyclists. Lots of them. Whilst I am in awe of these cyclists because it's a hell of a road and a hell of a gradient for someone to cycle up, they do really kind of take over the road in some places. Usually they're in 1s and 2s. I didn't see any that were in any kind of peloton trying to recreate the Tour de France or anything like that, but obviously they're going an awful lot slower on the way up and you have to try and get round them. watching, of course, for things coming the other way, and of course for people coming behind you and trying to overtake you. So there was a couple of situations where I was overtaking a cyclist and a motorcyclist was overtaking me. So just watch out for cyclists. It's, if you time it right, it's not a problem. But it's obviously, trying to give them enough width and enough sort of space can be difficult in some points, and you so therefore have to sort of slow down. The second thing to watch out for is probably coming down a gradient. Coming down, you need your brakes, or you need to use a lot of engine braking. Now the problem with using your brakes too much is they can get hot, so just trying to let the engine do some of the work and the gearbox do some of the work to slow the car down. If you've got an automatic, then obviously stick it into the sort of sequential manual, semi-manual mode if you can, to keep it down into a lower gear. But don't keep using your brakes. And actually at the bottom of either end there are some signs that sort of say, just check your brakes, watch your brakes, because they could be getting hot. So try not to use your brakes all the way down. The other thing to watch out for when you're coming down is, again, cyclists. They will actually be overtaking you in a lot of cases coming down. I guess that's their payback, if you like, for sort of struggling their way up the mountain, is that they are going to whiz down, and some of them they go brakes free going down. Quite dangerous, but that's them. The third thing and final thing really to watch out for on the Grossglockner High Alpine Road is that you have to keep your eyes on the road. If you're the driver, you really can't afford to be looking out too much. I drove the road and I did see a lot of the views from the windscreen and whatever, but when my wife, who was in the other seat, said, "Oh, look at this," I had to kind of just make sure that I wasn't going to be driving off the road or driving into somebody else when that happened. So keeping your eyes on the road as much as you can and concentrating on driving, because the views are spectacular, but there are plenty of places to stop and look at them. So what vehicle should you choose if you have a choice to go up the Grossglockner High Alpine Road? Well, there's bikes, there's motorbikes, cars, vans, campers, motorhomes, coaches. I even saw a couple of vintage tractors. Now if you're in some of those bigger vehicles, sort of campers maybe, but certainly motorhomes upwards, there's going to be a couple or a few places where you're going to have to park and take a short walk. You won't be able to get to the top of something. So pretty much any car will do. We had a Kia Ceed rental car. It was automatic gearbox, and it was okay. It wasn't the most engaging and the most fun, but it was certainly very capable of doing the road. So I don't think there's probably a car out there that couldn't achieve the road. From the other end of things, there were sports cars. There were 911s aplenty. There was an Aston Martin, Ford Mustang. There's quite a few sports cars and supercars out there on the road. But they're being held up just as much as any other car when they're getting to bikes and things like that. If you get there early in the morning, maybe you could have a great run without too much of other traffic or certainly other cyclists to worry about. The ideal, probably, certainly from my view, would be some kind of sporty classic convertible. For example, I did see and had a chat to a guy that had a Fiat 2000 Spider. I guess from the sort of 70s, early 70s. Manual gearbox, no power steering, nice peppy engine, but the fact it was convertible, it's superb visibility all round, not just to see the scenery, but when you're going around their hairpin bends, you can look up and over your shoulder and see what's coming, or if there's nothing coming, you can kind of make your curve appropriate to that. Now, there are plenty of stops along the way. There are pull-ins and little lay-bys and parking spots everywhere along the road. Your chances are you'll see one. If you see a view you like, there'll be a stop somewhere soon to be able to catch it. But then there are these 12 worlds of adventure, these official stops, if you like, where there's something more than perhaps just a pull-in. They all have some sort of exhibition or information about something. So it could be about the ecology of something, sort of plants, wildlife, for example, or it could be about the geology, the glaciers, the rocks. There's a bit of museum, some history stuff. There's cafes, there's observation platforms and other things like that. So there's two that I would definitely recommend stopping at. But the first one I would say would be the Edelweiss Spitze. So if you're in a bigger vehicle, you're going to have to park at the bottom and walk up. But otherwise you can drive up the sort of, a very windy small road, often sort of a bit single carriageway in places, to the top. And there's a small car park at the top and a lovely cafe, which I happen to know serves very good lattes and apple strudel. Anyway, that's a different matter. So yeah, the Edelweiss-Spitze, I'd say to go up. It's 2,571 metres high. There's a great panoramic view. You can see apparently more than 30 mountains that are over 3,000 metres high. It's a great place to go. Definitely be on the list, that one. The other one that I would say you need to go to, and it's possible that you could miss this if you've not been doing your homework on the road. So as you go, if you go north to south, almost towards the end, there's a small roundabout, and it sort of says Heiligenblut one way and Lienz and off the pass one way. Then the other way says the Kaiser Franz Josef Hohe, and that's the Pasterze Glacier. Take that side road. It's quite a long side road, but the drive-in is fantastic. When you get there, you can go down on a sort of funicular down to the level of the lake, and you can walk up to the glacier. Apparently it's getting quite along. It's a lot further away than it used to be. It's obviously retreating, but the views from there are stunning. There's kind of various exhibitions there. There's a massive car park, so there's no issue with parking at that end. There's also, for those of you who are interested in cars and classic cars, a small car exhibition. It's on a couple of different levels, and obviously the Porsche Museum has kind of helped them out on a couple of things. But yeah, there's a variety of cars, not loads, but maybe 20 or so cars in there, and it's worth popping in. You can also have the chance to see some wildlife, a particular wildlife. Obviously, they've got kind of ibex type, mountain goat type animals around. I didn't see any of those, but what I did see were marmots, which are kind of like, I don't know, like a big ground squirrel, kind of like a gopher, I guess. You may see some of those around. We did see one of those in that glacier area, very very close to close to the car park. Actually, it wasn't sort of like you had to hike to go and see it. Obviously, hiking is another thing you could do a lot of if that's what you're into. So yeah, those two, the Edelweiss-Spitze, number 4 in the list, and then the Kaiser Franz Josef Hohe is number 11. So definitely do those two, but by all means stop at all the others. It takes you no time at all to stop. It costs you nothing, and you might see something, you might learn something that you didn't know before. So I hope this has given you a good flavour of the Grossglockner High Alpine Road. It's definitely worth a visit if you're in that area at all and you've got, I don't know, like a half day or a full day free. You could spend easily a whole day on that road and all the different stops. So it's definitely worth doing. If you're trying to transit from kind of northern Italy into Austria, take this pass, go this way. You won't regret it, particularly if the visibility is good. Obviously in winter it shuts down. I think it's only open from maybe May onwards, but check the website beforehand and you should have a great time. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a comment, maybe leave some of your own tips if you've been to the Grossglockner as well, to help other people, and give it a like, and please subscribe to the channel. It makes a big difference to what I do. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.